What's up, everyone? You're listening to the RAS Project. My name is Ivan Temelkov. I'm your host, and this is where we get 100% real, raw, and unfiltered. If you're looking for your typical conventional podcast, you're in the wrong fucking place. Today, I have a very special guest on the show. His name is Michael Dash. He is an entrepreneur, philanthropist, investor, mentor, speaker, author, and thrill seeker. He's the former president and CEO of Parallel HR Solutions Incorporated, and is currently in recovery for 3 different addictions. This journey to hope follows a 6-year lawsuit that's now settled in the sale of his company he spent 11 years building. Michael knows the struggles are not unique to executives and entrepreneurs around the world. He now gets to lead from empathy and become a much more fulfilled person while realizing what truly matters in life. Welcome, Michael. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
Well, that was quite the bio, man. So you've been through a lot of shit, obviously, and done a lot of things. So take us back, a few years back, and let's talk a little bit in depth about, where you were and what led up to, today with, I know you have a best-selling book also that I get a chance to mention. So kind of give us a little bit of behind the story of, entrepreneur, philanthropist, investor, mentor, speaker, author, thrill seeker, all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess 5 years ago, I found myself running and building a technology recruiting business in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm from the East Coast. I followed some business opportunities out to Utah, and I had a business partner there, ex-business partner there. We built the company up for 5 years to about 5.5 million, and then I bought her out. And we entered 6 months after that a legal dispute, which ended up lasting 6 years. So I found myself 5 years ago running a business that was running me in a massive legal battle with my ex-business partner, consumed with work and a lot of addictive behaviors. I would pop Adderall in the morning, work my ass off all day, go to Orange Theory Fitness, go home and smoke weed, eat a pound of sushi, watch a couple hours of reality TV, and do it all again. Then on the weekends, I would go out, I would party. I would, at one point I had a bar and a club. I would party, I would do GHB, I would be boozing. And I was just kind of unfulfilled, unfulfilled to the T. From the outside looking in, it looked like I had everything. Everybody thought, oh, Dash, he's got a company, he's got these houses. I had a bunch of houses I was renting out and, all this other crap. But I was completely miserable on the verge of like isolating myself completely every night. And really on the verge of wanting to commit suicide. And I went on a trip actually to Bali about 3 years ago, and it completely changed the trajectory of my life. It was a business accelerator retreat, and I was sitting in this room, and they basically said to me, they were talking about flow. These 2 people were talking about living in flow and basically following your intuition by making decisions by following your intuition versus logically thinking about what you were going to do before you made decisions in your life. And I never really thought about things like that. And they were giving out examples of how they were able to manifest, certain things in their life and all these synchronicities that were going on and how they got out of their corporate jobs that they were very successful in, but that they weren't fulfilled in. And they were being flown all over the world to teach these things. And I was sitting there and I was like, this is a bunch of bullshit. I didn't believe a word of it. I met it with all resistance. But I was so miserable, and I actually called them out. There were 30 people in this little session, and I called them out, and I said, "This sounds like bullshit." I'm like, synchronicity. I'm like, first of all, I've never used that word in my life, and that's what you call coincidence. If you work hard, then good shit happens to you. That's just what I believed. So I resisted everything they were saying. But at the end of it, they're like, let's talk after. And I was in so much agony and misery and frustration with where I was in my life and being unfulfilled and allowing this company to actually run me, where I was completely reactive all day long, every single day, that I sat and I met with them. And at the end of the meeting, I still didn't really believe them, but I flew back to the US thinking this one thought over and over in my head. And that thought was, would it be so bad to live a different way? And I just sat with that. And it felt so light to me because I felt so heavy at the time.
Yeah.
That I said, screw it, I'm going to take their course. They were offering this course. It was like $1,200. And I'm not going to judge it. And I'm just going to listen to what they say, and I'm going to take it. And because prior to that, I was born on the East Coast and raised there. So people who talked about energy and flow and astrology and yoga and meditation, like they were all full of shit. Like I was kind of brought up in this bubble where it's like, don't trust those people. They're weirdos. They're just going to try to scam you out of money. So I didn't believe in any of it. But I decided, what the hell? I was miserable. I'll take the course. And I took this 12-week course, and it really changed the trajectory of my entire life.
Yeah. So I want to go back a second to, you were talking about how you were kind of at a high, right? You were running your business, but then, you were drinking and doing drugs and all this stuff and suicidal thoughts. And do you think that it was a way for you to kind of curb the edge of what was happening in business, or was it something else?
No, I just wanted to get away from it all. I didn't want to think about it. I just didn't want to think about all the challenges, all the decisions, making a decision every 15 minutes, every day for years on end. I was just exhausted with thinking about the lawsuit, how much I was paying, the lawyers, like the business, my employees, employee reviews, taxes, operations, HR. I mean, if you're not an entrepreneur, it's hard to relate. But when you are an entrepreneur, we don't stop thinking. Like just because the business hours aren't going doesn't mean the business isn't running.
Right.
Like, it's 24/7 with us. So I was kind of exhausted with the whole thing, and I just wanted to move on. I mean, not move on. I just wanted to escape it. And that was my escape. The drugs were my escape. And, prior to that, I had a gambling addiction for 20 years. And so gambling used to be my escape just in life. But now it graduated, and cocaine back in the day. But now it had graduated to more acceptable drugs like Adderall, because it's prescribed, and marijuana, because everyone smokes marijuana. And, not GHB isn't so in the mainstream, but I would do that too. So it was the way I escaped the reality I didn't want to face.
Yeah. The reason I asked this question is because it's from an entrepreneurial standpoint primarily. I think us entrepreneurs, you kind of hit the nail on the head, is that we're really forced to think all the time. Our lives get immersed into entrepreneurship. And in fact, I've seen this with a lot of people who, grow businesses, that they become so intertwined in the business that as a result, they trade off that for things that happen in their life, and they try to curb the edge. They try, I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs who go through divorces, a lot of entrepreneurs who just a lot of things that happen because they're so immersed into the business world. So you came, you went to this retreat that you mentioned, that you went to Bali. And by the way, when you were talking about, people selling you shit, I mean, that's kind of how I was raised, basically, is this that, these people are going to sell you shit that doesn't really work, because that's the immediate reaction that you have, because you don't know what it is. Right. You're hesitant. You're putting up your shield and saying, well, this doesn't fucking work because, you haven't tried it, right? But you took a leap of faith on this that ultimately changed your life, correct?
100%. I mean, we are programmed and we are wired by not only our parents, but by media and by the people we surround ourselves with, our friends, right? So the most ignorant thing I ever did in my life, and I lived the majority of my life this way, is adopting other people's opinions about things that not only I have never tried, but most of the time they have never tried it.
Right.
And then here they're saying, you know, don't pay attention, don't listen to that bullshit. You're really going to buy into that?
Yeah.
And we adopt them as if they're our own beliefs. And even when, you know, and even if they did try them, the same thing that resonates with me isn't going to resonate with my best friend, isn't going to resonate with my girlfriend, isn't going to resonate with my parents.
Right.
Try things. My biggest piece of advice is try things for yourself. Tap into your curiosity and being curious as a human. What we lose so much of as we're adults is that curiosity factor. And try other activities. And you will find activities that you resonate with, and then incorporate those into your life. And then do those activities with other people. And then you're building community, right, and you're building tribe. And then all of a sudden, like for me at least, I had multiple tribes because I've done this over years and years. And now I have multiple tribes in my life that where if I'm feeling weak in a certain area, if I'm feeling like not great or unsupported or whatever, I can tap into these different tribes, whether it's in travel, whether it's in flow, whether it's in entrepreneurship, whether it's in relationships, you know, whatever it is, whether it's in mindset. You know, I have
right,
groups of people now that I've built in these areas of my life that I can lean on in times of need.
Yeah. Well, one thing that you mentioned that I wanted to touch upon is as human beings, we have been taught to be skeptical towards a lot of things, you know, playing things safe. So when you were talking about, because I can resonate a lot with a lot of that being an Eastern European, is that, you know, growing up was like, no, don't try this because, you know, we haven't tried it and it's new and it doesn't work. Right. But that's just it, is that I think in the entrepreneurial world, it's the complete opposite. You need to try more. You need to experiment more. You never know. It could be that one thing that could be life-changing, like this program that you took. And you're absolutely right about the type of people that we surround ourselves with. You know, there's this saying out there that you're the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And it's completely true because let's face it. If you surround yourself with millionaires, right, with people who are successful, you're far more probable to be successful because you're absorbing and adapting their habits and what they're doing that's making them successful in life and business, you know, and everything. Now, you'll never see, you know, positive people surrounding themselves with negative people because they don't have anything positive to bring to the table. And I think that's just it, is as we're raised, because when you were talking about this, I could totally relate to this. As an Eastern European, you know, being raised to go to school, get education, get a job, do everything by the book that's been done for generations and generations and generations. Well, you can't expect a different result in your life and in your business if you keep doing the same shit that everybody else is doing, right? Like following the book to a T and executing the same way that people have done for generations and generations. For instance, what baby boomers did is not what millennials are doing, and Gen Xers and so on and so forth, right? So when you were talking about this, you know, it was really interesting. So the question I have for you, and this is one that I always ask, is what enticed you to take that leap of faith, you know, to take that program?
Basically, I was miserable as fuck. That's it. Yeah. And it came to like, what do I have to lose? Like $1,200. What? It's not that big of an investment. You know, what do I have to lose? So it won't work. But I was spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on my lawyers on this lawsuit. I was so pissed off. I was angry all the time. I felt this heavy feeling of like look, and first of all, I don't want anybody to feel bad for me. These are high society problems. Don't get me wrong. There's people who can't even fucking eat every day. Don't get me wrong. And all these problems, okay, they were self-inflicted wounds. I caused them all. Or I played a major part in them. Just like most of us, most of our problems are self-inflicted. So At the time, I was just absolutely miserable. Okay. I was running this company that was running me. I was in this 6-year lawsuit. At the time, it was like a 5-year lawsuit, right? And I felt there was no end in sight. I had these 3 houses I was renting out, and I was managing them, and shit was driving me crazy because I get calls out of nowhere, to fix this or fix that and all this bullshit. And I'm trying to run a company, trying to deal with a lawsuit, and now I'm managing these houses. I could have easily given it to somebody else, but no, I chose to, be the hero of everything and manage it, right? Then I was trying to be this big shot, right? Buying everybody drinks at the bar, having the open tab, taking people out, being the life of the party, all that stuff. Getting hammered, waking up, not knowing who the person next to me is, like, what the fuck? And like totally unfulfilled in everything that I did.
Right.
Totally unfulfilled. And then getting high all night, every night, and then eating. And it was just like, it was miserable, actually. It was miserable, and it was robotic, and it was kind of the same over and over and over. So I was just like, screw it. What do I have to lose?
Yeah. You made a very interesting point that I wanted to touch upon is this. The reason I asked the question of what enticed to take the leap of faith is, I think you came to a realization that what's the worst that could happen? I lose $1,200, right? But best case scenario is this changes my life. Now,
I wasn't even thinking that way, to be honest with you. I wasn't thinking this was going to change my life at all. I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to try this, whatever. I have nothing to lose. And I just went into it like that.
So you didn't really even have a sense of optimism. You were just like, what the fuck? Just $1,200 goes down the toilet. I mean, I've already wasted hundreds and thousands of dollars on getting drunk, getting high, and all this.
The lawsuit, really, was killing me at the time more than anything. I was getting drunk and high because I was running from the lawsuit. I was running from like the business. I was running from dealing with employees leaving. Small businesses are challenging to operate. And when you have a lawsuit going on, they're really challenging to operate. So
sure.
I just wanted an escape, really. And I was like, whatever. These people said all this shit changed in their life. Let me try it. Let me see if it happened. If it's possible, things can change your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's really interesting that you mentioned that, because first of all, and the way that you approach this is that I think traditionally most people would see someone like you as a menace to society, right? Because you're not really doing anything positive to impact the world in a positive way. But, there was something that made you realize and take that leap of faith of, hey, I'm going to try this. You weren't even optimistic. And little did you didn't have a freaking clue that this was going to completely transform your life. That, this course that you took was going to change the trajectory of you, becoming a recovering addict and, just really transforming your life. So what advice would you give to other people that are in similar situations?
The advice that I give is try things for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Experience them yourself. First of all, this course is amazing. If anybody's interested in learning how to follow your intuition, my intuition has never really led me the wrong way. It's my conscious mind that leads me the wrong way. When I sit there and I try to think of practical reasons to do something or not to do something, that's when I've made the wrong decision. But when I intuitively follow what the energetic pull is from me, what I feel in my gut, some people would say it's their gut, right? Then I've always been led the right path. So if anybody's interested in that, it's called Flow Consciousness Institute. And I'm glad to refer anybody. But in any case, I would say, look, change is easy. We convince ourselves that change is hard, but it is not hard. And I suggest starting change by making small shifts in your schedule, by doing small things, not by writing this list of, it's 2020. I'm going to change A, B, C, D, E, F. Bullshit. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? This is how some people approach it, where they're going to make all these drastic changes in their life, and then they end up making none of them. Or they do it for 2 weeks, a month, and they fall off. What's worked for me is I make small shifts in my life. So, for instance, one of the shifts I've been making is I want to start reading again. I stopped reading, right? I haven't been reading as much at all. So I committed to reading 20 pages a night.
Okay.
That's it. 20 pages a night. Okay. And if I don't hit it one night, that's fine. I just get up the next day and I make a commitment to myself that I'm going to do it that night. And then all of a sudden, I've gone through, 15 books for the year or more.
Sure.
But what I don't do is beat myself up the day I miss it. I just make sure I do it the next day. And making that, so then you incorporate that in your life, and then you start feeling better about yourself. You're like, all right, good, I got a task done. And then incorporate something else in your life. Like, I'm going to commit to, going on a walk 30 minutes a day. No music. I'm going to really enjoy the environment around me. And I'm going to really allow myself to have a quiet mind.
Yeah.
And then you start doing that, right? And all of a sudden, then you have more momentum. So you've made a couple different shifts, right? You have a clearer mind, not filled with so much noise all day long. We're constantly consumed with noise, constantly.
Right.
Everywhere. So anyway, these are like two examples. And then you can take a bigger leap and say, I want to, start eating better. I want to start going to the gym more. I want to, whatever it is. I want to write a book, whatever it might be. But start with some small things, incorporate those in your life, and then you start building momentum and confidence, and then you can make bigger shifts. And all of a sudden, you've made some significant change.
Yeah, absolutely. What's really ironic about what you just said is that I actually just wrote a blog post about this 2 days ago. Is this my 2020 rule? And my 2020 rule is initiative. And you were kind of talking about all these things, like making all these small changes. I think people really strive to create big impact in their lives, or even an impact in other people's lives, but they don't understand that it starts with small footsteps, right? Just take an initiative in one area, like you said, is this start here and then start here. And eventually, once you've made improvements in various small areas, it contributes to the big picture, right? So it was really ironic that you said that, because that's one of the things I personally want to focus a lot more on in 2020. And even though in 2019, I also set goals, and even though I met about 50% of my goals, I still didn't meet the other 50%. And I think it's because the word initiative, taking action against small things one at a time, wasn't as centric as I hoped to be in 2019. So that was very ironic that you said that, I think a lot of people try to eat the whole pie, right? As opposed to taking small bits of it until they actually master, small areas in their life. And then they can venture out, like you said, you want to write a book, or you want to start reading more. So, you started reading like a couple pages per night, and eventually you worked up to 15, 20 pages. It's small steps, you got to be able to crawl before you can walk. And I think that really translates into entrepreneurship, because a vast majority of entrepreneurs think that they're going to blow up overnight. They're going to be the next fucking Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or Elon Musk or, anyone else that, is very philanthropic and has achieved something monumental in the business marketplace, or really just became a badass fucking human being, So that was a really, really good point that you mentioned. Michael, I really, really enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure this could go on and on for hours. You have an amazing story, just getting a glimpse at it. But one thing that, I wanted to close things off with is, first of all, how can people connect with you on social media? What's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, I would say Facebook or LinkedIn. Facebook, I'm Michael.-1, and LinkedIn, Michael Dash.
Okay.
So I would say those are the best two. If you're on Instagram, it's M-1. And if I have a coaching program, I coach other entrepreneurs. who are looking to grow their businesses, double their businesses within the next 12 months. I had a $5.5 million company myself. So if anybody's interested in learning more about that, I'm glad to set up a free 45-minute consultation. They can reach me at michael@michaelg-.com. And then just lastly, I would say I wrote a book called Chasing the High, and it's an entrepreneur's mindset through addiction, lawsuits, and journey to the edge. I have great tips in here for not only entrepreneurs, but for everyone. I have a chapter called The Habit of Habit Making, and it's similar to some of the stuff we've been talking about, but the importance of building habits into your life and, trying out new activities. And when they resonate with you, incorporate those in your life, because as we evolve as humans, we want our habits to evolve with us. So, that's just some of the stuff in here, and you can find it on Amazon or at chasingthehighbook.com.
Very cool. Well, Michael, I want to thank you for your time. Make sure that people can pick up that book as well and check out all the great tips and insight. Want to thank you again for jumping on the podcast and jamming with me.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. Lastly, sorry I didn't mention it. If you want to check out my website, it's Michael G. I have a weekly newsletter with free tips and videos that I send out to anybody who might be interested. And I'm glad to have you a part of it.
Very cool. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Ivan. Have a great day.